Welcome back, everybody, to Mentor Musings. My name is Dennis, and as always, I'm joined by JC and Brett. In this segment, we call it Mentor Answers. I asked them a question, and they come back with their take on that question. JC, Brett, how are you today?
Doing outstanding.
Great, Dennis.
Excellent. That wasn't the question. This is the question here. The question that I have for both of you this morning is, how important is core values to a new startup and business, and tying those core values, not just in marketing, but on the side of identifying your brand and using those core values to grow and scale with your customer base?
Yeah.
Sure.
JC, you want to go first?
Yeah, Brett, I'll open up with that. It's a really great question, Dennis. I mean, so here's what we know. Values as a company are something that have been built upon for a long time. You know, looking all the way back to companies in the 1800s, during their marketing messaging, it was more than just, hey, come and buy this product, or hey, come and access this. You know, brands and marketers would try to tie in the value behind some of the decisions the company would make and the types of products that they would offer and the types of values those products offered. So whether it was expressed this way or not, you know, since the dawn of, you know, incorporation and commerce, the idea of espousing values and tying that into your marketing and tying that into your product and your brand is important. Why is it important for startups? Well, there's a lot of reasons, but I would say one of the key reasons is it becomes your true north. There's so many things that you can do as a founder. You have every option available. You know, Samsung in the 1940s started off as a fish company. They sold fish, and now they're like the second largest manufacturer and distributor of electronics in the world. And so what you have to have in order to be able to sustain a company that can move from focusing on one thing to an entirely different thing successfully is you have to have values, right? You have to understand what your principles are as a company. So for a startup, you have so many options ahead of you. There's so many different pathways you can take towards your immediate goal. And there are so many other goals that you can try to reprioritize, that your core values as a brand and your core values as a company are going to drive you in the right direction to deliver the value that you really want to try to deliver for your customers.
Yeah, I think, I'm going to take a slightly different path on that. I 100% agree with you, JC. I think, you know, what I'm seeing through the podcast and other, you know, interviews, conversations I'm having with founders, especially the ones that have kind of crossed that threshold, starting to scale the business, you're really not separating the founder from the business, right? I think I say the old days, you know, 5, 6, 10 years ago, maybe, I don't know. You could create a brand, right, without, I think, the founder or the co-founders as at the core of those principles. And so one of the things I always ask and want to get to is, what is your why? Right? It may not seem like your values, but why are you in business? Why are you doing this? What are you trying to do? And it doesn't always have to be, hey, solving world hunger or, you know, climate crisis, those things. But you need to have a reason why you started this company, the challenge you're trying to solve. Because what I found is if you can't and you aren't passionate about that why, it's going to be really hard to find employees that are passionate about that why. And even the next step is, then if your employees aren't passionate about it, how can your customers be passionate about what you're doing? So I like to start early and often with founders is what is that why? And if it typically is only to make lots of money, usually isn't going to be a good recipe for success. So, and I've always found there's usually a reason. I mean, the reason why we're doing this podcast or the reason we do what we do, there is a bigger why to it. I think what historically has happened, brands don't necessarily advertise what those whys are. So Nate, I don't know, Dennis, I'm completely answering your question, but I'm seeing, you know, the more and more that the founders are tied directly to what that brand is, the transparency, you know, the one and the same. So curious, did that answer your question, Dennis?
Yeah, I mean, well, any motivation outside of you know, the typical, like, hey, I just want to make money, it's going to come back to what you've said before, JC. It's a passion. Like, what are you passionate about? And I think core values and passion kind of like are very symbiotic. So yeah, I mean, being passionate about something is going to give you that why, and it's going to give you your core values of why you're starting your business or why you are in business.
And I think tying it back to your branding question, right? You are and become your brand. And I've used it a couple times, like Richard Branson, his followers, maybe that's the high profile example. His followers on social media is like 10x of what Virgin is. And Sarah Blakely is another example. So I think it's getting harder and harder to separate. So if you don't, at your core value as an individual, as the founder, aren't aligned with what you want to do with the business, you're gonna have to work twice as hard, to get to where you want to go.
Yeah, and I think one thing I would add as a final note, Brett, I think you're absolutely right. That word alignment is so critical, right? And making sure that your values are aligned with all of your stakeholders. And Dennis, I know you framed the question as far as how to use this as a way to scale into your customers. But when you're an entrepreneur, and this is true of a lot of companies, but especially for entrepreneurs, is you have many stakeholders that you need alignment with. You have investors, potentially, you have vendors and partners, you have employees, you have your co-founders, you have your clients and customers, right? There's a whole cadre of people that you need alignment with. Having values is probably the easiest way to confirm and validate the right type of alignment. You can be aligned on many other things, but if you can get those stakeholders aligned with your core values as a brand and a company, and then to Brett's point, yourself, right, which are kind of interlinked, then you've got a much better chance of success. So it does become that true north for you. It becomes that one guidepost to say, okay, I'm going to get everybody aligned with what I believe. And if I do that, we've got a really, really good shot of doing something special.
Awesome. Thank you. Any final notes before we sign off?
Nope, this was a good one.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you. And thank you everyone for joining us today. If you liked what you listened to, give us a like, subscribe, share with your friends, reach out to Brett, reach out to JC. You can reach out to me. But keep listening. We hope to see you in the next one. Take care.
And tell your friends.
Yeah, tell everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Dennis.
Take care, guys.